No kings, no tyrants, no fascists. As we head into the No Kings protests nationwide on October 18th, I wanted to come out and talk to you about some of the threats that we face and acknowledge what is happening, why it is unreasonable, and why we need to stand up and protest and let it be known that what is happening in America by Donald Trump's regime is unacceptable. I believe that American democracy will survive this current assault, but only if we all stick together and the message is condensed into saying that in America there are no kings. As you go into this protest, keep in mind Donald Trump's National Security Presidential Memorandum 7 and his Antifa designation as a domestic terror organization. Now, neither Antifa nor the domestic terrorism NSPM 7, none of them are terrorists. But that is what Donald Trump is trying to do with his executive orders and memorandum. NSPM 7 designates or seeks to designate any organization that gets groups together to organize protests or other nonprofit groups that are engaged in dissenting against this authoritarian government. And so NSPM is a memorandum, NSPM 7 is a memorandum that designates anti-fascist, and they use quotes for saying anti-fascist, self-designated anti-fascist. Well, if you are that, then Donald Trump is trying his best to classify you as a domestic terrorist and then somehow detain you, deprive you of due process of law, deprive you of your counsel, deprive you of constitutional right to peaceably assemble, and then keep you in detention without due process of law under circumstances that are inhumane. And that is what we're going to be saying no to. Remember to say no to National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. No NSPM 7. No federal assaults. No designating Antifa and anti-fascists as domestic terrorists. And also think about it. If anti-fascists are domestic terrorists and enemies of the regime, what does that make the regime if not a fascist regime? So in a way, NSPM declares that Donald Trump's regime is a fascist regime. We are protesting against no federalized National Guard, no making people's lives hard, no deployment of the guards of different states to be employed in different jurisdictions. And I'll talk about this more once I read Judge Perry's full opinion of the case that stopped National Guard from being deployed in Illinois. It didn't stop them from being there. It didn't stop them from being federalized, the court, but the court stopped them from going into Illinois. But it has to go further because that breach of state sovereignty is unconstitutional. We can't have that in Illinois. We can't have that in California. We can't have that in Oregon. We can't have that in democratic cities and red states like Memphis, Tennessee, like New Orleans in Louisiana. We need to say no to these federal raids and assault. No to assaulting journalists. No to shooting priests. No to disappearing citizens. Why? Because where is the emergency? Where is the rebellion? You, Donald Trump, and your regime is trying to provoke the American people by attacking, by pepper spraying, by hitting by assaulting, you are provoking the public to rise up. But the public is not being violent. You are. The government is. That is where the insurrection is, from within, by Donald Trump's regime on our fundamental rights. Why can't federal agents do their duties? Where are the local law enforcement supporting the feds? Why? Why aren't they supporting the feds? Because they see that state and local authorities have the responsibility to make sure there's peace and order and everybody upholds the law. And Donald Trump's regime is breaking the law by assaulting citizens who are peacefully protesting. Because where is there evidence of an Antifa assault? Where is the evidence that anti-fascists are domestic terrorists? The only places where we say Antifa and anti-fascists are in peaceful protest. And that's why it needs to be extremely important for us to, when we go out, to do so peacefully, do it with fun, wear a frog costume, wear other inflatables, dance on the streets, get in their way, but peacefully. Don't touch them. Don't get into any confrontation with them. Be in your own free world inside of you that America gives you the right to have. So the federal regime needs to stop creating domestic unrest. They need to stop designating anti-fascist people who are peacefully protesting as domestic terrorists. They need to stop assaulting peaceful protesters. They need to stop assaulting local and state authorities who get in the way between the public and federal forces. They need to stop shooting priests. They need to stop tackling journalists to the ground. By they, I mean Donald Trump's regime, his federal agents of ICE and DHS. They need to stop suspicionless stops, stop illegal searches and seizures that violate the Fourth Amendment, because Donald Trump's regime is no longer going after just immigrants. They're going after immigrants. They're going after people who dissent. They're going after Antifa. They're going after anti-fascist people. They're going after mentally ill people. They're going after homeless people. They're going after people who are poor. They're going after peaceful assembly and assaulting them by spraying pepper spray into the air ducts of these inflatable cartoons that are walking around protesting. They need to stop that. They need to stop the illegal detentions. So what we need to do as we go into the October 18th protest, above all, remain peaceful when you're out protesting. We have a right to peaceful protest under the Constitution of the United States in the First Amendment. I provided the link below. Read it. There are other icons there that you can read about more about the First Amendment, and I provided the link below. I provided a link for the Antifa designation and NSPM 7 as well. If you don't like hearing me talk, go and read those instead. I urge you to remain peaceful. I urge you to keep your phones charged, record any suspicious activity, and report it to the local authorities and the state authorities. Take water with you. Take extra in case of irritants of, them spraying pepper spray and other chemical agents. Again, I say remain peaceful. Go with friends. Take your state-issued IDs, even your passports with you if you have them, but never hand the federal agents your passport. They can see it from your hand. You can open it up to the ID page, but do not give it to them because they may not return it. And if you were to just think about the inconvenience of it, of you having to go and apply for a passport again, that itself is burden enough for you to not give them the passport. You can have copies of your passport's ID page and give those to the federal agents after showing them your passport and the ID page. And if you have it, carry your U.S. passport card that is valid all over North America. So these are the suggestions I have for you. This is where we are going into this protest. Remember to be peaceful. Remember that Donald Trump is waiting for the opportunity to find any violent occurrences and coin that occurrence and make that the impetus for declaring people domestic terrorists, and then also give him the stepping stone to invoke the Insurrection Act. Remember, don't give Donald Trump's regime that chance. Remain peaceful. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe and get the message out. Take care, everybody.